Let's talk about a story you've probably heard 1,000 times, that India is the world's tech talent factory. But there's a paradox, a real puzzle right at the heart of that story. And the solution, well, it's been hiding in plain sight all along. Okay, so we all know the headline, right? India produces, get this, 1.5 million engineering graduates every single year. It is by far the largest pool of technical talent on the planet. Now, contrast that with Silicon Valley, the undisputed capital of tech innovation. They operate with a workforce that's way, way smaller. And yet, think about the products that really define our digital lives. The software on your phone, the hardware you use, the platforms you log into every day. Where do they come from? Overwhelmingly, they emerge from the valley, not from Bangalore or Hyderabad. So wait a minute, if you have the largest supply of builders in the world, but you aren't building the next generation of global products, this can't be a talent problem. It's just not. So what is it? Well, it turns out that innovation doesn't just spring from raw intelligence. It emerges from the rules of the game. And to really understand why India became the world's back office instead of its product lab, you have to follow the incentives. It really all comes down to some simple math that shaped an entire economy. On one side, you've got the services model. It's linear. You sell hours, you get paid right away. It's safe, it's predictable, and you've got cash flow from day one. Then, on the other side, you have the product model. This thing is a J-curve. You're just burning cash on R&D for months, maybe even years, all for the hope of a massive payoff way down the line. One path is stability, the other is basically a lottery ticket. And for decades, India's absolutely massive IT services industry created what you could call golden handcuffs. I mean, think about it. If you were one of the brightest engineers, what was the most rational choice? You take a stable, high-paying job at a big services company. It was a clear, guaranteed path to the middle class. The idea of leaving that safety for a risky, unproven product startup, the opportunity cost was just way too high. But here's the thing. That very rational choice didn't just happen in a vacuum. It was actually reinforced by 3 invisible walls built deep into the system. 3 structural constraints that quietly steered the entire ecosystem away from product innovation. Wall number 1 is the punishment for failure. In some countries, failure is just a lesson. It's almost a badge of honor. In others, it's a lifetime penalty. A staggering 62.8% of adults in India say the fear of failure is the reason they wouldn't start a business. That is a powerful aversion to risk. And when failure carries that deep of a social stigma, entrepreneurs behave accordingly. They choose the safer path. And this isn't just a social feeling. It's literally written into the law. The US system is debtor in possession. If your startup fails, the law protects you, the founder, and gives you a chance to reorganize. India's bankruptcy code, on the other hand, is creditor in control. It was designed for old industrial debt. So if you default, you lose control of your company immediately. Now imagine trying to take on the debt you need for deep R&D. It's terrifyingly risky. All right, wall number 2 is capital. India spends just 0.65% of its GDP on R&D, far below other tech nations. But the crucial point here isn't just how much is spent, but who is spending it. See, 64% of that R&D spending comes from the government, and it's focused on strategic things like defense and space. In product-led economies, it's the private sector that fuels all the risky commercial R&D that leads to innovation. Without that private fuel, the engine simply can't start. And the third wall? The market itself. Unlike the US or China, India's domestic market is incredibly fragmented. You've got dozens of languages, extreme price sensitivity, and a huge trust issue when it comes to business payments. I mean, when over half of your invoices are more than 90 days late, you just can't survive the kind of cash burn a product company needs. So what happens? Founders are forced to look overseas from day one. So if those were the walls, how did other innovation hubs solve this puzzle? It turns out none of them succeeded on pure genius alone. Each and every one had a kind of hidden advantage. Every successful product ecosystem had a crutch, a unique structural advantage. The US had deep, risk-tolerant private capital that was willing to fund that J-curve. China used its massive, protected domestic market to scale its own champions. And Israel used the state and its military to de-risk early-stage deep tech. Each had a thumb on the scale. And here's the most crucial point. This wasn't a mistake. It was a rational choice. Faced with its own unique set of constraints, the Indian system optimized for stability and immediate cash flow. It built the back office of the world because, at the time, that was the most logical thing to do. But what happens when those underlying structures finally begin to change? Well, the system is changing. Slowly, unevenly for sure. But for the very first time, the incentives are finally starting to shift. There are three tectonic shifts happening. First, policy is moving from being an obstacle to becoming a catalyst, with new frameworks for deep tech. Second, digital public infrastructure, things like UPI, is unifying that fragmented market, making it possible to actually build for India at scale. And third, wealth is finally being recycled back into the ecosystem. And let's just focus on that third point, wealth recycling. The wealth unlocked for startup employees through their stock options, it's just jumping from just $39 million to over $1 billion. Now, this isn't just money. This is the creation of a whole new generation of angel investors and experienced operators who are now funding and founding the next wave of product companies. It's the PayPal mafia effect, and it's happening in India right now. So if there's one single idea to take away from all of this, let it be this. The story of innovation isn't really about spirit or genius, it's about structure. Nations don't innovate because they want to. They innovate because the system finally makes it the most rational thing to do.